The message came without warning. Across the vastness of space, it echoed with desperation. Help us. Please, anyone who hears this. The Krell are coming. We cannot fight. We will not survive. In the command center of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral Alan Murphy rubbed his tired eyes as the translation finished. The message had been repeating for 3 days, broadcast on every frequency from a star system 17 light-years from Earth. The Viridians, explained Dr. Lisa Garcia, pushing her glasses up her nose as she gestured to the holographic display. They're a peaceful species. Advanced technology, but no weapons. No concept of war. Captain John Mitchell stood with his arms crossed, watching the images of beautiful crystalline cities and the slender, luminous beings who built them. And these Krell. Garcia swiped to another image showing massive armored creatures with multiple limbs ending in natural weapons. Predatory. Expansionist. They've consumed 3 civilizations in the past decade. The Viridians will be next. Admiral Murphy sighed. We've received confirmation that no other spacefaring race is responding to their call. They all say it's suicide to face the Krell. So why should we? Asked Commander Pete Wilson, the tactical officer. Earth has only been part of the galactic community for 15 years. We're still trying to catch up technologically. A smile crossed Garcia's face. Because we're from Earth. A death world, Mitchell said, understanding immediately. Murphy nodded. The other species fear us almost as much as they fear the Krell. They call us Deathworlders behind our backs. Our gravity, our atmosphere, our biology. Everything about Earth created humans to be natural survivors. And killers, Wilson added quietly. The Admiral brought up new orders on the main screen. The Intrepid will depart tomorrow. Captain Mitchell, you'll lead this mission. Mitchell straightened. Rules of engagement, sir. Save the Viridians. Show the galaxy what Earth can do. 12 days later, the Intrepid dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Viridian system. The ship, bearing Earth's most advanced weapon systems, and a complement of 200 Marines, seemed small against the backdrop of space. In his quarters, Mitchell reviewed the final reports. The Viridians had no standing military. Their civilization focused on art, science, and mental development. They had achieved remarkable technological advancements without the drag of warfare pushing them forward. Captain, Garcia's voice came through the comm. The Viridians have made contact. They seem surprised we actually came. On my way. When Mitchell reached the bridge, a delicate figure shimmered on the view screen. The Viridian had translucent skin that seemed to capture and reflect light in waves of color. 4 slender arms moved in graceful patterns as it spoke. Earth vessel, I am Supreme Coordinator Zelfar. We did not believe anyone would answer our plea. The others said we were doomed. Mitchell stepped forward. We heard your call. We're here to help. But you are so few, Zelfar said, the colors beneath its skin darkening with concern. The Krell will arrive with hundreds of ships. Numbers aren't everything. Mitchell replied with a confidence he hoped was reassuring. We come from a world that tried to kill us every day of our evolution, where we had to fight to survive against predators, disease, and the elements. You asked for help, and Deathworlders have answered. For a moment, the alien was silent. Then a ripple of blue, hope, the translator noted, washed across its form. We welcome you, humans of Earth. Please, teach us how to survive. The shuttle descended through Viridia's atmosphere, carrying Captain Mitchell, Dr. Garcia, Ambassador Kevin Wright, and a small security team. Through the viewports, they watched as the alien landscape came into view, a world of sweeping crystalline structures that caught the light of twin suns and scattered it in rainbow patterns across the horizon. Gravity readings at 0.7 Earth standard, noted Garcia, checking her instruments. Atmosphere is oxygen-rich, but lacks many of the compounds we're used to. The Marines will still need to acclimatize. Mitchell nodded. Good thing we brought the environmental suits. When the shuttle doors opened at the designated landing area, the humans were met by a delegation of Viridians. Up close, the aliens were even more striking. Tall, willowy beings whose skin seemed almost transparent, with complex patterns of light flowing beneath the surface. 4 slender arms extended from each torso, ending in 7-fingered hands. Ambassador Wright stepped forward, having studied the proper greeting gestures. Supreme Coordinator Zelfar, we come in peace and friendship from Earth. The gathered Viridians suddenly backed away, their skin flashing with pulses of alarmed yellow. What's wrong? Mitchell whispered. Zelfar's voice came through their translators, pitched higher than before. Your bodies. They are so dense. Garcia understood first. It's our muscle mass and bone structure. They can sense it. Wright recovered quickly. We evolved on a high-gravity world with many predators. Our bodies developed accordingly. The Viridians conferred among themselves with rapid flashes of color beneath their skin, a secondary form of communication the translators couldn't fully capture. Zelfar finally approached again, more cautiously. Forgive our reaction. We have never encountered beings like you. Please, follow us to the Hall of Communion. As they walked through the Viridian capital, humans from the security team instinctively noted structural weaknesses, defensive positions, and evacuation routes, habits ingrained from a species with warfare in its history. The Hall of Communion was a vast chamber whose walls seemed to be made of living crystal. The Viridian Council waited inside, 12 elders whose skin contained more complex light patterns than the others. We have reviewed your transmission data, Zelfar began. Your weapons capabilities are disturbing to us. Our species abandoned violence millennia ago. Mitchell stepped forward. We understand your concerns. We don't glorify violence, but we know how to defend ourselves and others. One of the elders flashed a pattern of deep red. The Krell destroyed the Nemidians in 14 cycles, the Petrovan civilization in 9. What can 200 humans do against such a force? Let me demonstrate, Mitchell said, nodding to Sergeant Amy Foster, the communications specialist who had been studying Krell transmissions. Foster activated a portable display showing footage from Earth's history, not of wars, but of survival. Humans enduring extreme conditions, protecting the vulnerable, rebuilding after disasters. We're not just fighters, Mitchell explained. We're survivors. And we've analyzed the Krell attack patterns. They rely on fear and overwhelming force against species that don't know how to resist. Garcia added, our scans show your world has resources we can use to create defensive systems without compromising your ethical concerns about weapons. The Viridian's colors shifted slowly from cautious oranges to contemplative blues. There is something else you should know, Zelfar said finally. The reason the Krell hunt us. The Supreme Coordinator raised all 4 hands, and suddenly the humans felt a gentle pressure in their minds, like a whisper of another consciousness touching theirs. You're telepathic, Garcia gasped. We have abilities the Krell wish to consume, Zelfar confirmed. But we have never used them in conflict. Mitchell exchanged glances with his team. Then perhaps it's time you learned how. The council chamber fell silent as the implications settled on both species. 2 vastly different evolutionary paths were about to merge in the face of a common enemy. The Earth Marines established their base camp at the outskirts of the Viridian capital, a stark contrast of utilitarian military equipment against the flowing organic architecture. Commander Susan Taylor had converted a crystalline amphitheater into a training ground, where the first group of Viridian volunteers gathered nervously. They looked like they might shatter if you touched them. Sergeant Ben Hayes whispered to Taylor as they watched the aliens attempt to lift the modified training weapons. Taylor nodded. That's why we're starting with the basics. They don't need our strength. They need our mindset. Across the field, the Viridians struggled. Their 4-armed bodies were nimble but lacked the muscle density to handle even the lightest human weapons. One dropped a training rifle, flinching as if expecting punishment. Taylor strode forward. It's okay to fail, she said, her translator converting her words. Humans fail all the time. We just get back up and try again. The concept seemed foreign to the Viridians, whose society had engineered failure out of their existence centuries ago. In the makeshift laboratory, Chief Medical Officer Daniel Carter worked alongside Viridian scientists, studying samples of Krell biology obtained from previous attacks on other worlds. "Their cellular structure is fascinating," he said, adjusting the microscope. "They can regenerate damaged tissue almost instantly." The head Viridian researcher, Nerival, pulsed with colors of scientific curiosity. "We have analyzed their biochemistry for years, but never considered how to use this knowledge defensively." Carter looked up. "On Earth, knowing your enemy's biology is often the key to defeating them. Every species has weaknesses, even apex predators." Nerival's colors shifted to a thoughtful blue. "We have compounds that might disrupt their neural pathways without killing them. Would that be acceptable to your ethics?" Carter smiled. "More than acceptable. It's exactly what we need." In the communications center, engineers Jack Wilson and Patricia Moore worked with Viridian technicians to integrate Earth's battle management systems with Viridian technology. "Your crystalline computing is decades ahead of ours," Moore admitted, watching as Viridian technicians effortlessly manipulated energy fields with both their hands and their minds. "Yet you conceived of weaponizing it in moments," the lead technician responded, colors swirling beneath his skin. "We never thought to use our technology this way." Wilson connected another set of cables. "Humans have always turned tools into weapons and weapons into tools. It's not something we're proud of, but it's kept us alive." "The Krell ships emit a specific frequency before attacking," the technician said, bringing up holographic displays of previous encounters. "We always interpreted it as a victory signal." Moore studied the pattern and suddenly grinned. "It's not a signal. It's a targeting system cycling up. If we can disrupt that frequency, we could blind them." Wilson finished. "That's brilliant." As night fell, Captain Mitchell met with Supreme Coordinator Zelfar on a balcony overlooking the city. The twin moons of Viridia cast everything in silver light, making the crystal structures glow from within. "Your people learn quickly," Mitchell said, "but I'm concerned about their resolve when actual fighting begins." Zelfar's skin rippled with troubled colors. "Violence is contrary to everything we believe. For millennia, we have used our mental abilities only for creation and connection. Sometimes protecting what you love requires difficult choices," Mitchell replied softly. "Like your people made?" Zelfar asked. "We have glimpsed your history in the minds of your people. So much conflict, so much pain." Mitchell nodded. "We've fought each other more than we've fought anyone else. But we've learned from it, grown beyond it." A sudden alert chimed on Mitchell's communicator. Dr. Garcia's voice came through, tight with urgency. "Captain, long-range sensors have detected something entering the system. Krell scout ships, at least 3 of them. They'll reach Viridia in 48 hours. Mitchell's eyes met Zelfar's. The Viridian skin had gone almost completely transparent with fear. "It seems," Zelfar said quietly, "that our time for preparation has just run out." The Krell scout ships entered Viridia's orbit with the casual confidence of predators who had never known defeat. 3 black vessels, their hulls covered in bony protrusions like the exoskeletons of the creatures who piloted them, took up positions above the capital city. On the bridge of the Intrepid, which had remained hidden behind Viridia's smaller moon, Captain Mitchell watched the tactical display with narrowed eyes. "They're following the same pattern as their previous conquests," he said. "One ship to scan for defenses, one to assess resources, and one to begin the terror bombing." Lieutenant Nickel Johnson, the lead pilot of Earth's fighter squadron, stood beside him. "They don't know we're here yet. We could hit them before they realize what's happening." Mitchell nodded. "Launch when ready, Lieutenant. Remember the plan. Quick strikes, then retreat to the atmosphere. Make them follow you down where we have the advantage." Johnson grinned. "They've never fought in gravity before. This should be interesting." 12 Earth fighters, small and nimble compared to the massive Krell ships, launched from the Intrepid's bay. They burned hard toward the planet, communication systems silent. The Krell noticed the approaching craft too late. By the time their sensors registered the threat, Johnson's squadron had already split into 3 strike teams and were firing the specialized disruptor weapons the Viridian scientists had helped create. The lead Krell ship shuddered as the disruptors hit, its targeting systems suddenly blind. Johnson's voice crackled over the comm. First hit successful. They're confused, not returning fire yet. On the planet below, the Viridian volunteers watched the sky with their skin pulsing rapidly between fear and hope. Commander Taylor had positioned them with modified communication devices that could project the Viridians' natural telepathic abilities in focused bursts. Wait for the signal, Taylor reminded them. When the Krell ships enter the atmosphere, that's when we need your mental push. The fighters darted around the Krell ships, firing precisely at vulnerable points identified from previous attack records. The Krell, unused to resistance, responded with clumsy volleys that missed their nimble targets. Gradually, Johnson's squadron pulled back toward the planet, and as planned, the Krell followed in pursuit. They're taking the bait, Mitchell said, watching from the command center they'd established on the ground. Get ready. The first Krell ship entered Viridia's atmosphere with a roar that shook the crystal spires of the city. As it descended, something unexpected happened. Its movements became erratic, its weapons firing randomly. What's happening? Mitchell asked. Dr. Garcia, monitoring from a nearby console, looked up in surprise. They evolved on a high-gravity world like Earth, but they've been in space so long their biology isn't adapting to the atmospheric pressure changes. Their navigation is compromised. Johnson's voice came through the comm again. They're struggling to maintain control. Now's our chance. Mitchell gave the signal. All units, commence Operation Thunderclap. Across the Viridian capital, the volunteers activated their devices. A wave of focused telepathic energy surged upward, aimed directly at the Krell ships. The aliens had no defense against this kind of attack. Their collective consciousness, which served them so well in coordinated hunting, became their weakness as panic and confusion spread instantly among them. The second Krell ship veered wildly, colliding with the third. Both spiraled downward, crashing into the uninhabited mountains beyond the city. The lead ship managed to pull up, limping back toward space with obvious damage. In the command center, a cheer erupted from the human personnel. The Viridians remained silent, their skin flickering with complex emotions, relief mingled with shock at their first victory, and deeper still, a disturbing realization that they were capable of violence after all. Mitchell's communicator beeped. A message from the Intrepid. They had captured a small Krell shuttle ejected from one of the damaged ships. Inside was a living Krell warrior. Bring it in, Mitchell ordered. We need to know what we're really up against. As the celebration continued around him, Mitchell exchanged glances with Zelfar. They both knew this was only the beginning. The main Krell fleet would now be coming, and it would come prepared. The captured Krell warrior was housed in a specially designed containment chamber, its massive form dwarfing the humans who studied it. Nearly 3 meters tall with armored plates covering dense muscle, the creature looked like evolution's perfect killing machine. Eric Bennett, the communications officer, worked tirelessly with Viridian linguists to decipher the chittering sounds the creature made when it spoke. After 3 days, he made a breakthrough. Captain, I think I've got something, Bennett said, rushing into the command center where Mitchell and the Viridian leadership had gathered. The Krell don't just communicate vocally, they use some kind of electromagnetic signaling between their neural clusters. It's like a hive mind, but more complex. Dr. Garcia looked up from her datapad. That explains their perfect coordination during attacks. Each Krell knows what the others know. And more importantly, Bennett added, they can be disrupted. The telepathic burst from the Viridians during the battle didn't just confuse them. It temporarily severed their connection to the collective. Mitchell turned to Zelfar. Could your people sustain a larger telepathic attack? The Supreme Coordinator's skin darkened with concern. Such use of our abilities would require training and focus we have never attempted. The mental strain could be dangerous. But not impossible, said a new voice. A Viridian named Thila stepped forward. Unlike the others, her skin patterns showed unusual stability, almost human-like in their steady rhythm. I have been working with Security Chief Ryan Cooper, she explained. We discovered that our telepathic abilities can be amplified through physical connection with humans. Cooper nodded. It's like we provide a grounding effect that stabilizes their mental output. Together, we can project focused disruption waves 3 times stronger than Viridians alone. Mitchell considered this. We need to test this on a larger scale. Long-range sensors chimed an alert. The main Krell Armada had been detected entering the outer system. 16 capital ships and dozens of smaller vessels. We're out of time for testing, Mitchell said grimly. The Krell will be here in less than 2 days. That night, Cooper and Thila demonstrated their discovery to a gathering of humans and Viridians. Standing side by side, they joined hands, her 4 interlocking with his 2. A visible wave of energy emanated from them, strong enough to disrupt electronic equipment several meters away. The effect is strongest with pairs who develop a mental rapport, Cooper explained. It's like friendship makes the connection stronger. The gathered Viridians flickered with surprise. The concept of weaponizing personal bonds was alien to them. But as the demonstration continued, volunteers began stepping forward. By morning, 30 human Viridian pairs had formed, each practicing the delicate balance of minds needed to project focused disruption fields. In the strategy room, Mitchell reviewed their options with his officers and Zelfar. Even with these new capabilities, we're outnumbered 20 to 1, Commander Taylor said. The Intrepid can engage some of their ships, but not all. Then we don't fight fair, Mitchell replied. On Earth, throughout our history, smaller forces have defeated larger ones by changing the rules of engagement. He activated the holographic display, showing images from Earth's military history, guerrilla fighters using terrain to their advantage, smaller nations repelling invasions through asymmetric warfare. The Krell expect us to defend from orbit or retreat, Mitchell continued. Instead, we'll let them land. The Viridian crystal forests provide perfect cover for ambush points. We'll draw them in, separate their forces, and cut their communication with the telepathic disruptors. Zelfar's skin pulsed with uncertainty. You would allow them onto our world. Sometimes you must risk what you love most to save it, Mitchell said softly. We won't let them destroy your home. I promise. As the meeting dispersed, Dr. Garcia approached Mitchell privately. The Viridians are changing, she said. I've been monitoring their physiology. The stress of the situation is triggering dormant evolutionary responses. Their bodies are adapting, becoming more resilient. Mitchell looked through the window at the paired humans and Viridians training together. They're becoming like us. And we're becoming like them, Garcia replied. The human teams report increased sensory awareness, even rudimentary telepathic impressions. Whatever happens next, both our species will emerge from this transformed. Outside, the first scouts reported Krell ships entering high orbit. The final battle was about to begin. The sky above Viridia darkened as Krell ships descended through the atmosphere. Unlike the scouts before them, these vessels came in tactical formation, a hunting pattern perfected across dozens of conquered worlds. From the makeshift bunker beneath the crystal forest, Captain Mitchell watched the enemy deployment on holographic displays. They're spreading out to surround the capital, he noted, just as we predicted. The Intrepid had withdrawn to Viridia's far moon, appearing to retreat but actually positioning for a flanking maneuver. Lieutenant Johnson and her remaining fighters hid among the floating crystal formations in the upper atmosphere, engines cold, waiting. All human Viridian pairs in position, Commander Taylor reported. Defensive teams are ready. Mitchell nodded. Let them land. Wait for my signal. The first Krell dropships touched down at the edge of the crystal forest. Massive doors opened, and armored warriors poured out, each standing 3 meters tall with natural weapons extending from their limbs. They moved with predatory grace, communicating through clicks and electromagnetic pulses. "They're entering the forest perimeter." Cooper's voice came through the comm. He and Thela were leading one of the ambush teams. "We can feel their hive mind searching." "Hold position," Mitchell ordered. The Krell advanced deeper into the forest, their sensors sweeping for life signs. The human Viridian pairs remained perfectly still, their minds joined in a state that masked their presence from detection. When the Krell reached the prepared kill zones, Mitchell gave the command. "Now." Across the forest, 30 human Viridian pairs activated their telepathic disruption fields simultaneously. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Krell warriors froze. Their neural networks suddenly flooded with contradictory signals. Some dropped to the ground. Others fired blindly into the forest. Earth Marines emerged from hiding, using the modified weapons developed with Viridian technology. Instead of killing, these weapons targeted the Krell's neural receptors, effectively paralyzing the massive creatures. In orbit, the Intrepid surged from its hiding place, engaging the Krell fleet from behind. Johnson's fighters powered up and attacked the dropships still descending, causing chaos in the enemy's landing sequence. For 20 minutes, the battle seemed to be going according to plan. Then something changed. The Krell adapted. A massive energy pulse emanated from the lead ship, strong enough to penetrate the planetary surface. The human Viridian pairs cried out as their telepathic connections were forcibly broken by the interference. "They're recalibrating their hive mind," Dr. Garcia shouted over the comm. "They're using a higher frequency our disruptors can't reach." Freed from the disruption effect, the Krell warriors regrouped with frightening speed. They charged toward the capital city, cutting through the defenders with renewed coordination. Mitchell ordered a fallback to the secondary positions, but it was too late for some teams. Cooper's voice came through, distorted by static. "We're cut off. At least 30 Krell between us and the extraction point." In the command center, Mitchell made a decision. "I'm going out there. Hold the line here." Before anyone could object, he grabbed a weapons pack and ran for the exit. Outside, the beautiful crystal landscape had become a battlefield. Shattered formations littered the ground, their once perfect structures now jagged and broken. Mitchell moved through the chaos, avoiding Krell patrols as he made his way to Cooper's position. He found them. Cooper, Thela, and 3 other pairs, pinned down in a crystal ravine. "Captain," Cooper called out, "the Krell are jamming our telepathic connection." "We need to get back to the main defensive line," Mitchell said. "There's a path through." A massive explosion cut him off. A Krell heavy weapon had targeted their position. Crystal shards flew everywhere as the impact knocked them to the ground. Mitchell felt a sharp pain in his side. Looking down, he saw a crystal shard embedded below his ribs. Blood seeped around the edges. "Captain." Thela moved to his side, her skin pulsing with alarm. Mitchell grimaced. "Get everyone moving. I'll cover your retreat." "We will not leave you," Thela said firmly. Her 4 hands reached out, touching Mitchell's face, his shoulders, his wounded side. Suddenly, Mitchell felt a strange sensation, warmth spreading from Thela's touch, and with it, an awareness of other minds. Not just the Viridians nearby, but hundreds of them, all across the battlefield. Their fear, their determination, their growing anger at seeing their world destroyed. Through this connection, Mitchell realized what Dr. Garcia had discovered. The Viridians had never lacked the capacity for violence. They had simply chosen to suppress it. Watching humans fight and die for them, that ancient restraint was breaking. As Mitchell's blood touched the crystal soil of Viridia, something unprecedented occurred. The planet itself seemed to respond. The crystal beneath Mitchell's blood began to glow with an inner light that spread outward like ripples on water. Thela's eyes widened as the phenomenon accelerated, racing through the forest in all directions. "The resonance," she whispered. "Our world is responding to you." Mitchell barely heard her through the haze of pain. Around them, the Krell paused in their advance, sensing something changing in the environment they sought to conquer. Dr. Garcia's voice crackled through the damaged communicator. "Captain, something extraordinary is happening. The crystal structures are amplifying the Viridian telepathic signals. They're creating a planetary network." Throughout the battlefield, wherever human blood had touched Viridian soil, the same resonance effect spread. The crystal forest pulsed with light, connecting every human Viridian pair across the planet into a single, powerful consciousness. In orbit, the crew of the Intrepid watched in awe as the entire planet began to glow. At the center of it all, Thela joined her mind fully with Mitchell's. Through their connection, a message reached every Viridian on the planet. The time for pacifism had passed. To survive, they must embrace all aspects of their nature, including the capacity to fight. With a collective mental push unlike anything ever attempted in their history, the Viridians focused their combined telepathic energy directly at the Krell hive mind. The crystal planet amplified the signal 1,000-fold. The effect was instantaneous. Krell warriors collapsed on the ground, their neural networks overloaded. In orbit, the enemy ships drifted, suddenly unresponsive to commands. The central intelligence that coordinated the entire species had been disrupted at its core. 3 weeks later, Mitchell woke in a regeneration chamber, his wounds healed by a combination of Earth medicine and Viridian technology. Dr. Garcia stood nearby, making notes on a datapad. "Welcome back," she said with a smile. "You've been out for a while." Mitchell sat up slowly. The Krell. Gone. Their fleet retreated to the edge of known space. Intelligence suggests their hive mind was so damaged they've lost their collective memory. They may not even remember who they are, let alone how to be conquerors. And the Viridians. Garcia's expression turned thoughtful, changed. The experience awakened something in them, a strength they never knew they had. They're still peaceful by nature, but they understand now that defense isn't the same as aggression. Mitchell was discharged from medical care the following day, just in time to attend a ceremony in the great plaza of the Viridian capital. The Crystal City had been partially rebuilt, but the designs were different now, more practical, incorporating defensive elements while maintaining their beauty. Supreme Coordinator Zelfar, whose skin now displayed more complex patterns than before, addressed the gathered humans and Viridians. "For millennia, we believed that to embrace any form of conflict was to lose our true nature," Zelfar said. "The humans showed us that protecting what you love is the highest expression of that nature." Mitchell stood with his crew as Zelfar presented them, with crystalline metals that pulsed with inner light. "The galaxy has witnessed what happened here," Zelfar continued. "Already, 3 other species have contacted us, seeking the protection of this new alliance between our peoples." After the ceremony, Mitchell found himself on a balcony overlooking the city, where he had spoken with Zelfar before the battle. Now Thela joined him there, her skin glowing softly in the twilight. "Our scientists have been studying the resonance effect," she said. "We believe it wasn't just a temporary phenomenon. The bond between our species appears to be permanent on some level." Mitchell nodded. "I can still feel it sometimes. Echoes of your people's thoughts. And some of us hear echoes of yours," Thela replied. "It seems Deathworlders and pacifists had more to offer each other than either realized." In the sky above, the first ships of the newly formed Galactic Defense Coalition entered orbit, representatives from worlds that had previously avoided contact with both humans and Viridians, now seeking to join their alliance. "What do you think they want from us?" Thela asked. Mitchell smiled. "The same thing everyone needs sometimes, someone who will answer when they call for help." As night fell over Viridia, the crystal forests glowed with their own light, a permanent reminder of the day when desperate pleas had reached across the stars, and Deathworlders had answered the call.